Imagine for a moment a world without art, without dance, opera, literature, poetry. That world would be a very, very dull place.
Today on the show, we have M. Curtis Mccoy, a businessman having operated various industries, including medical, fashion, manufacturing, distribution, and pharmaceuticals. But after being diagnosed with brain cancer, he began reaching out to other business leaders he admired to ask the question, how to be successful. His personal journeys and the philosophies he discovered are captured in his book, How to Be Successful, Think Like a Leader, is a compilation of true stories and conversations that will help you in your journey to success. Then, based on the momentum of that book, he also has a very successful blog, Success, Motivation, and Inspiration, to motivate and inspire others to achieve more in their lives. Curtis, thanks for coming on the show. It's really an honor to talk with you. You have a very particular backstory, a very particular mindset and perspective on life, and I'm glad to share that time and discover a little bit more about you.
Absolutely. I was glad to be able to talk with you here. First off, thanks so much for inviting me on your show. And
absolutely.
We're streaming live right now to the Success Motivation Inspiration group and to the M. Curtis McCoy page. So we've got, between that and the Amazon profile and stuff, we've got over 250,000 people that have got access to this video right now. So before we get started on the interview, if anybody wants to check out your show, this is Jimmy Frey. And if you guys want to check out his show, click the link at the bottom. His page is actually a sponsor of the video. So you can click that link. It'll take you directly to his page. Kind of a cool thing there. And he's got a really cool podcast called Unusual Minds. And so I'm, again, just thanks so much. I sure appreciate being invited as a guest today.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the Unusual Minds podcast, I try and talk with a wide variety of interesting, motivational, inspirational, and unusual people. So, if you're interested in having a wide variety of perspectives, that's what I try and aim for, is trying to get as much, capture as much perspective on the human condition as possible. So, talk to a lot of artists, a lot of musicians, a lot of folks who work in the entertainment industry, martial artists and the such. But, it's really hard to find a successful and motivational businessman to talk to, and really one that's, open enough as yourself. So I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to spend just a little bit of time with me to get to know you and, share with both my viewers and folks on the blog just a little bit more about yourself and, what it takes to kind of shift your mindset into thinking like a leader. Because at least in my experience, working in various industries, I have found that there are a lot of managers out there, but there are not a lot of leaders.
Yeah, that's probably an accurate statement. No, this will be a completely unscripted conversation. A lot of times I was telling you, your guests may not know, most of mine do. I survived a malignant glioblastoma brain tumor. So I had lost not only my entire memory, but even the ability to speak for a while. I was having daily seizures, like 7 to 10 seizures a week, grand mal seizures. Was given 69 days to live back in like 2010. And we went to Tijuana, Mexico, did some unapproved treatment out there that I'm still around and healthy, and still don't have the best memory. But so if you folks are asking, if you ask me a question, or if I ask you a question and then ask you a question again, the same thing, you can tell me, hey, listen, we already covered that. Not that I'm not paying attention. My memory is not great after the brain cancer. So.
Oh, no, it's perfectly understandable. So I guess we'll start, back We'll go way back. We'll start with what made you want to become an entrepreneur when you were a kid? I mean, was there anyone specific that you kind of admired growing up that kind of got you thinking that business is what I want to dedicate myself to?
I've a lot of kids are like this. I've had just young kids on the group that have been, the one kid at 13 years old he made $16,000 a month on an Amazon store that he started at 13. And,
Wow.
but I started out like a lot of young kids where I was wanting to have a business. And so I went and found a lawnmower at a yard sale there. And I'd tie that to the back of my bicycle and ride around my grandma's neighborhood and offering to mow lawns.
Hmm.
But I figured out pretty quick that if I dress up in a nice polo shirt and I still mowing lawns, but I do polo shirt and I got a pair of slacks at the thrift shop and got my grandma helped me put together like a flyer on the I don't know, Microsoft Word or something like that.
Yeah.
Just a kind of a cheesy little flyer. And so I'd go around and hand it out. And when people asked me what my price was, I figured I was a very wealthy neighborhood. And so I tell them, well, I'll do the work. And when I get done working, you can just pay me what you think I was worth. So, all the older folks loved that because they're going, hey, this kid, if he doesn't work hard, I'm not going to pay him nothing.
Yeah.
But I'd get done, just work my butt off the afternoon, nice shirt and slacks and stuff. So I've got my little cart and everything tied to the back of the bicycle. And there was days I'd work for 2 hours and somebody tipped me $100 bill and had some pretty crazy things like that. But I got home and my great grandma was, counting out my cash earnings for the weekend
Hmm.
on I had a little fanny pack in the front of the bag, and I'm counting that out, and I had counted out just over $1,300 in payments that I'd made on the weekend. And so my great grandma is lecturing me on, hey, you need to start a bank account. You can't be carrying your whole life savings in a fanny pack on your mountain bike. And I'm like, no, I have a bank account. Mom sent me with a bank account. I haven't got to get to the bank yet. Well, you should have been to the bank sometime this summer. And I'm like, no, that's from this weekend.
Hmm.
So I learned at a really young age that, I would have probably worked all summer for $1,300 if I was working an actual job or whatever. And so really, that was kind of the first thing. And since then, I've had a number of different companies and everything from pharmaceutical to cosmetic, medical laser franchise, clothing companies,
Hmm.
the phone company, writing books and stuff. And long answer, but I've loved being an entrepreneur since I was really young. And
Yeah, it seems that you learned a very important lesson early on is that appearances do matter. How people perceive you and how people perceive you both, as successful and as a worker, having an established work ethic, that is very important. And those are the things you want to establish at a young age in particular, because it helps you build character and it helps you look at yourself in different dimensions, right? So it kind of helps you almost departmentalize yourself to where you can dedicate yourself to kind of a working identity, or an identity based around work ethic for that time. And I feel so many people struggle with differentiating those different parts of themselves, separating personal life from work life. And it's just a phenomenal lesson to learn at a young age.
well, and that's something that talking about speaking or about dressing for the job that you want to have, not the job you actually have.
Well,
That's a big thing.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, that and just being able to, you said you noticed that it was an older population, and you knew that they were going to resonate with that pay me what you think I'm worth. So already you're learning how to market yourself as a brand.
Yeah, yeah, that would not have worked in the ghetto because they'd have worked all day and they'd give me a buck. But um, I've actually hired employees though, based on I had a guy that worked for me years and years ago when we first started up the store, or my very first retail store ever. That super nice kid, just a genius programmer. He's a computer programmer, really sharp guy.
Yeah.
Um, did not was not comfortable around people when he's like the comb over pocket protector kind of guy. I didn't wash his hair, didn't um, not the face of customer service.
Right. Right.
And I started figuring out pretty quick that if you'd get somebody that would that's willing to we want to dress the part and look a little bit, a step above. My cell phone stores, I've got Best Cellular is the phone company,
Hmm.
and in the business, we made sure that we're in the middle of the country. That my first store ever was 35 miles from the nearest stoplight, 38 miles from the nearest stoplight, and but still, the employees working there would have a button-up shirt or a nice blouse and dressed nice. Where in the country, nobody dresses like that.
Hmm.
Just on, you don't dress like that in normal day-to-day life,
Right,
but that
right.
helped kind of differentiate the customer service. People walk in, they go, oh, these are the professionals, they're dressed like professional, and so offering the same service, but just expecting, and it puts you in that mindset when you're dressing a certain way. It puts you in the mindset of kind of how you're going to handle customers and business that day, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, professionalism just is a mindset in itself. I mean, to be a professional is to have an expectation for yourself that when you encounter adversity, whether it's going to be, a difficult client, difficult customer, some issue comes up with a shipping order, whatever the case may be. If you have this mindset of professionalism, you're going to have a standard by which you are going to operate and a standard by which you are going to address and perceive a certain situation and how you're going to handle it. And I think that goes a long way into building confidence, right? Because
Yep, I
what
agree.
because I feel like a lot of folks those who struggle with developing a successful mindset, they really don't have, or they really struggle with developing that sense of professionalism because I mean, maybe it's maybe it's a cultural thing, right? Certain work ethics, certain family issues, get in the way. But I guess just to kind of go the rigmarole, what helped you develop that sense of professionalism at a young age? Was it something that was uh, kind of within the family system, or is it something that you sought out on your own?
So we started, let's see, I guess just before that, probably maybe I was 12, 13. My mom started going to the business. It was Amway years ago, but she was doing some multi-level marketing stuff.
Hmm.
And so we had to live with my dad and we'd go back and forth between the two houses. But she took us up to the thrift shop. She was working like crazy hours and took us up and picked me and my little brother up a suit and tie. And I think my brother was about 10 years old at the time, maybe 9. So we got her little suit and tie, and we'd go to these conferences, and every time we're in the car, anywhere we went, she had these cassette tapes, a lunchbox full of cassette tapes with Zig Ziglar and all these different motivational, inspirational folks.
Okay.
And so it was just, I saw that on one side. On the other side of the family, it was a whole different, just say different thing there. But I saw my mom grinding for success and just doing everything she could to try to become successful and make something of herself.
Hmm.
And so that's where I said learn that. I started listening to these tapes and stuff. And now my biggest advice for somebody, I listen to an average of just over 6 books a month on Audible
Hmm.
and, podcasts and all kinds of different stuff. But that's the biggest thing is just, start out seeing, okay, this is how successful people act. This is how successful, this is what they do with their life. They're studying, they're not kicking back and watching, at the time it was Blockbuster, but it'd be Netflix now. They're
Yeah.
not wasting their time on all the Netflix videos and stuff. They're reading books, they're studying, they're improving, taking their time to build something. So
Well, I always find it amazing how the different media influences we have in our lives, develop our personalities and our, perspective on the world. And I mean, and a lot of that is, also, one, developing healthy habits, and two, developing a way to utilize your time to the maximum, right?
yep.
Because, yeah, I mean, like you said, these successful guys, I mean, if you're a CEO of a Fortune 500 company, you're probably working at least 16 to 18 hours a day. You're constantly on, you're constantly striving, and you're constantly self improving. And I feel that a lot of folks, who struggle with these sort of things, the idea of self improvement is something that they don't think that they have the power to control, and I think that's a mind that just comes back to this, this almost a self fulfilling prophecy. Right, you don't think you have the ability to do it, but it doesn't all happen at once. Developing these healthy habits, utilizing your time better, it comes from well, one, it's going to be a slow, gradual change. You're going to learn certain skills, and you're going to improve upon them over a long period of time. And two, it takes a lot of organization.
Well, I would say organization would be a helpful thing. Um, as far as me, that's probably my number one weakness
Hmm.
with, after the brain cancer.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't remember, literally, I can't remember most days if I ate breakfast or not, or, if it was today or a month ago. And, but just chipping away, making those tiny progressions every day. I listen to the same audiobook sometimes 6 or 8 times in a row. I
Hmm.
listen to them at 1.8 speed on average because that's, you take it in a little bit faster but still understand the words. But just constantly making a choice to be surrounded with positivity, and every time you're driving, if you're listening to a great song on the radio and you're memorizing this song, you get literally nothing out of that except for maybe your next karaoke night. You'll do better. But if you're taking that same time and listening to podcasts and audiobooks and
Yeah.
things that change your life, you literally will change. Your financial future is determined by the influence that you're choosing to take in.
See, that's interesting because that's something that every person right now can start doing. Is they can start and they can start being active in what they choose to engage with and what they choose to allow to influence them.
Exactly. Yeah.
So when you first when you first started getting into the motivational speaking game, and you actually started putting down the concepts that would be expressed in your books later on, what folks did you first reach out with to try and kind of start gaining these tips on how to be a leader or how to think like a leader?
That's a great question as well. A lot of times I've had people on, getting on video calls and stuff that are saying, "Oh yeah, I wanted to write a book, but I sent an email out and I sent it out to 10 different authors that I wanted to interview, and uh, you know, only one of them responded, and they said no. Like, 10? You mean this morning, or was that was that before lunch or?"
Oh yeah.
Um, but on that, so the authors I reached out to was literally hundreds a month. I would every time I read a book, I had the entire list, my whole Audible and Kindle list,
Hmm.
and I contacted every single author and just trying to, and then searching. Okay, let me search on personal development. Let me search on success. Let me search on saving, on investing, on real estate, whatever. And I'd read these books, and I'd interview these, or I'd reach out and interview these authors, or try to interview them.
Hmm.
Um, I was going to mention one. I've had some incredible authors like Ari Meisel, The Art of Less Doing. He's got like 7 different best-selling books. Bob Berg, the Go Giver franchise or Go Giver series.
Yeah, yeah.
He sold like 2 million or 2.2 million of his books. Just incredible authors. But these guys were, because I'd reached out over and over. Bob Berg I would have never got on, but I'd interviewed another guy, Licky Lavji, who is a client of Bob's, and then ended up Licky speaks all over the country now, and so we was able just through referrals, but it was because I was constantly grinding and keep asking and keep asking and keep asking. Um, I was going to look up. There was a guy, Will Edwards, is one of the authors, one of the first ones I reached out to,
Hmm.
and he declined me, or declined the being in the book here. I'm looking on this other computer. I was going to grab a quote from that, but actually his denial, telling me he wasn't interested in being interviewed in the book, made it into a chapter of the book because he was so friendly about how he shut me down there.
Yeah, yeah.
Let me grab this real quick here. Let's see.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I mean, folks, will often struggle with as well as that fear of rejection because, reaching out to gentlemen like yourself, I probably reach out 10 to 20 guests a day. I'll shoot in a message over trying to get folks on the podcast. And, you can't be afraid for people to say no. You definitely need to keep grinding no matter what it is, right? No matter what kind of skill you're
Yeah.
trying to do, whatever you're trying to establish, you have to grind and you have to put the work in, and you have to also learn to turn those negatives into positives, similar to what you
Yeah.
just did. You had someone who said no, you had a negative, and that yet you still found a way to flip that and use it to your advantage.
Well, I just found the email on that. So here's the email that I sent to Will Edwards. Like I said, he was one of the first ones at the time. My little Facebook group, we got like 240,000 active members now. We're getting 2,000 members a day. But at the time, I had spent probably a year and a half, 2 years building the group, and I
Mm-hmm.
had just reached 5,500 members. And so at the time, I thought I was a rock star for 5,500 members on this little group. And so I sent this email to Will Edwards. It says, Mr. Edwards, I just finished reading your book, The 7 Keys to Success. I wanted to tell you that I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I plan to read The Deepest Desire of Your Heart next. I know you're very busy, and I understand completely if you don't have the time to respond, but this email, but I'd love to feature you and your writings in a book called Success, Motivation, and Inspiration. The book will highlight successful, motivational, inspirational people like yourself. I would love to have a chapter about you if you're interested. And then I was telling about the size of the Facebook group and how we're interviewing. At the time I'd interviewed some entrepreneurs and athletes and different folks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but so I asked him, and I sent this email asking him to write a short bio and include references, which you don't do if you're reaching out to successful people. You're saying, okay, I need you to be able to confirm that you're going to do this and that for me.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to go, forget you, buddy. But so I'd written this email, and he responded back rather than just blowing me off. He said, "Hi, Curtis. At the moment, I don't have time to dictate, or I don't have time to dedicate. Um, just at the moment, I don't have the time to dedicate to writing a really decent set of answers to your interview questions, and that's what you need for the success of your book. So regretfully, I have to decline your offer. Thank you. I do wish you well with your project. Best wishes, Will." So I'm going. So that actually, I'm taking that. I wanted to include this guy in my book, but instead, it ended up being a chapter of the art of saying no.
Mm-hmm.
And how this, at the time, I'm very small, had no 5,500 followers, which is nothing.
Yeah.
And but he still took the time to go. He's probably going, "Hey, listen, I got a bunch of other stuff to do. I don't want to waste my time with some new author that probably is never going to even publish the book." So, but now I've taken that and used that polite denial as another chapter, the 21st chapter in the book. So,
Wow. So I guess I don't know. Just kind of going off of that, then tell us a little bit about the art of saying no. I mean, everyone always said. Well, I wouldn't say everyone, but I've always heard that yes, saying yes to more opportunities will bring different. I mean, saying yes just brings different opportunities into your life. But what are the benefits of saying no besides, I don't know, establishing like a sense of self worth, right? Like what your time is valued at. Similar to the gentleman you were just speaking about. He knew what his time was worth, and it wasn't for him. It wasn't going to be worth, you know, reaching out and spending time with a new author, right?
yep.
So how
And
does
this is probably 3 years ago that I sent the email, but
right.
said I hadn't built a brand yet. So
So I guess what benefits does saying no do for you in establishing that leader mindset?
I would actually, I'll go, I'll kind of go on the other side of this now.
Mm-hmm.
I was featured last week. I was in 3 different magazines where they've, wrote these articles and stuff. And I get folks constantly asking me to be on podcasts and interviews and different things. And I am a lot more likely to say yes, unless there's somebody that's just absolutely, if somebody's rude or whatever, I'll take I'll turn down an opportunity that could be very financially profitable
Mm-hmm.
if it's not somebody that I want to work with. But I can't really give you any advice on saying no, because I probably accept way more offers than I should.
Well, I mean, you're talking to me, so absolutely.
No, and I really appreciate the way you reached out and stuff. That was when you honor somebody the way you did. I appreciate that. So
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. I think that one of the things that a good leader does is they know how to create connections with people, and when they create those connections, they're usually a pretty good judge of character, and they can realize the strengths in a person and how you can kind of utilize that person to not only develop their own skills but also to benefit you. And I mean, that's just what a leader does.
well, and there's things with you've got a good audience on your podcast on Usual Minds, and um, a lot of listeners. Your Facebook group, you've got a couple of different Facebook pages. Um, the one is J period E period Frey, and the other one's J E Frey, I think. Right,
Yeah.
but you've got a good audience, and so that's actually that's mutually beneficial for me to be on. Um, but I've got folks that'll reach out from I've had a couple of from Nigeria last week that were on. Um, Maybe a month ago, a guy called in. He's doing an interview on his cell phone camera,
Oh wow.
and middle of the night, he had to tear open a sock and hang it over a flashlight to diffuse the light so it could be, didn't look terrible. But he's on a Zoom call on a cell phone with a sock hanging over a flashlight for his lighting setup,
Yeah.
and just stumbling all over himself, so excited to be a guest on the show.
Hmm.
And I'm like, man, there's if you can make time to help somebody to be, to connect and do something beneficial, that his audience is probably not ever going to buy a book or do anything that makes him any money financially or whatever. But I just love connecting with folks and helping them, and like I said, even if it's not something that's going to make money, it's still a good thing to do. Just doesn't have to everything doesn't have to be self-centered.
Right, right. Well, I think that's another thing about a leadership mindset is that a leader, they see that a rising tide can lift all ships. Right. The more
Yeah.
you work with folks, the more you help them out. It's almost a butterfly effect. I mean, even though you're on this Nigerian call, and yeah, those folks might not ever buy a book, but though his audience just listening to that could have been inspired to do all sorts of stuff, to start building wells, to start setting up solar panels somewhere. I mean, there's all sorts of different
Yeah.
things that they could be doing, and there's all sorts of different things that you could have inspired them to do. And I think that is one of the keystones of what a leader is someone who's motivational, but doesn't but motivates from a place of finding your strengths and helping you develop as an individual.
I gotcha. Well, I appreciate that.
So I guess let me ask you then. So when you were talking to all these authors and you were starting to get these different perspectives on leadership, what were the first correlations you found in like different habits, patterns, or just different fundamentals of that mindset?
So in the book that I'm just about to release, it'll go live on the 6th of this next month, uh, on June 6th.
Hmm.
But in the book, what I did, I went through and I asked these same 10 questions to each leader,
Hmm.
or the same set of questions about, when did they realize they were becoming successful? A bunch of different questions. And I was surprised. A lot of the questions that I asked it was, let me look here. I'm just going to grab the interview questions. So I asked the same list of questions to Jeff Wobig, who is the number one Navy SEAL team sniper in history.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
he had the Maximum magazine, what was it called? Maximum Warrior won the competition.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they had shot through, there's all these long range targets, and there's one so far down the range, it's getting dusk, and it was so far down that they didn't even light up the target, didn't turn the lights on it because it was just ridiculously over any human's ability to shoot that far,
Right, right.
is what they thought. So Jeff went through bullseye, 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 hitting all these targets. And then he lined up the one down the end of the range that was, crazy, crazy far out there, and shoots it. And then, they wait however many seconds and you hear the ding. And so he obviously won the thing. But Jeff was one that was just a really awesome guy that he's been on the Discovery Channel and Rhino Wars and
Yeah, yeah.
different shows and stuff.
Man, that's amazing.
Eric Payne.
That's got to be like a
of Vin-
300-yard shot.
oh no, I'm sure it was like mile plus,
Oh wow,
crazy,
wow,
crazy.
wow.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's But so interviewed him. My mom, CMO of Bestseller, interviewed Jeff McGregor, who's he's built a number of businesses. He's a musician, and he's on the road playing again now. And Eric Payne is a good friend of mine. Runs Venture Advocates, doing mergers and acquisitions, and very successful guy. Paul Watson is he's been successful in a whole lot of different areas and runs Downtown Vineyard Church. And they've got a not-for-profit hospital, so where they treat people it's like a charity hospital that he owns. Pretty cool deal. Interviewed Nathan Schulhoff, who's the inventor of the MP3 player.
Oh, really?
Like in your iPhone or whatever now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's he's a real cool guy there. Interviewed K1 Mayo of Uprock Publications. So he's, again, just a whole lot of, he was an ex-convict, turned his life around. The other guy's a preacher, the Navy SEAL sniper, the guy that invented the MP3 player, all these crazy different successful people, and combine those in, ask each of them the same questions. And it was funny, though, a lot of the things where you're asking somebody, they may have a whole completely different view on success, but so I ask each one, what is your personal definition of success? When did you consider yourself a success? What steps do you take daily to improve? Every single one of them had steps that they take every single day to improve. What do you recognize as your greatest strengths and how they impacted your success? Next question was, tell me about a weakness or personal character flaw and what you're doing to overcome it. And, how do you make important decisions? So we went through this whole list of questions, but it was really cool seeing, okay, there were certain questions that every leader had, every very successful person had very similar views and very similar ways to solve the same problem. And then other things, every one of them, it was a completely different, here's how they view it, and here's how they, I don't know, it's just been a really cool thing. It's a lot of the podcasts I'm loving jumping on and talking with all these folks that just kind of figure out, how do successful people think? And there's always a massive difference in the choices that they have made, the information that they take in voluntarily, compared to people that are not successful, that are complaining about how their life sucks.
Right, right. Well, I mean, I feel like a trap of, the modern age is that, particularly with the information that we take in, man, I know I'm not the only one. I feel like we're on an information overload sometimes. And I mean, even in a consensus of society, right? People can't seem to agree on, basic things anymore because everything has its own spin. And, I mean, there's a lot of confusion on, what kind of information we can't even trust nowadays. So I wouldn't say it's a struggle, but it takes effort to kind of find what information actually benefits your mindset and benefits your mindset towards self-improvement.
Here's the thing with that, though. We have the sum of all human knowledge in our pocket,
Yeah.
In a smartphone here, that years ago, you wanted to learn something. When I started my first, that little lawn mowing landscaping business, I went to the library and read a book, checked out a book on how to start a lawn mowing business. It's like, I'm reading that. That's one author's perspective. There's probably one book in the entire library on how to start a lawn mowing business. And, so that's the information that I had access to, was what that one author had got his book in the library with. And now, you could Google any kind of question, any kind of answer. When I started the pharmaceutical company, that was Google and YouTube and a lot of the stuff there. I'm not a doctor. I had doctors working for me. I'm not a pharmacist. I had compounding pharmacists working for me, but the sum of my knowledge there was reading and learning and searching Google for answers and stuff. Same thing with the Christian clothing company. I had virtueclothing.com, which is we'd done real well on the Christian clothing. It was not a profitable business, but I sold a whole lot of shirts and stuff, and everything from clothing, pharmaceuticals, the manufacturing injectable pharmaceutical grade research peptides. again, I'm not a compounding pharmacist, but I got on, started searching stuff, reached out to another company that manufactured white label injectables and said, hey, could you guys make this certain combination for me? And going, yeah, okay, now what do I have to do? Google it. What do I have to do to get this FDA approved? What do I have to do to get the American Medical Association? What regulations are there? And so it's just a choice to people complain about, well, there's so much competition online, or there are so many problems. We live in the best time in history to, even today with the COVID thing, everybody stuck at home. If you are not out doing something, improving, growing, getting smarter, learning every day, that's your fault. I mean, you've got no excuse unless your brain doesn't work. I mean, if you're a vegetable, that's a different deal.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
if you are able to think, it's your fault if you're not if you're not improving on a daily basis, you know.
Well, I mean, particularly with with so much time on our hands now, with with this whole COVID thing, people are social distancing, they're self isolating, and one of the things I've been asking folks, because I have been using this time to reach out to folks that I haven't necessarily reached out to in a while. And one of the things that I'll ask them is, well, what have you been doing with your time? Oh, we watched the Tiger King and this and that. It's just, it's not a
Yeah.
beneficial use of your time. And then I talked to one of my friends, and she said that she was going back and rereading The Count of Monte Cristo. And I said, fantastic. You're the first person that I've talked to that actually is reading a book. Like, that's phenomenal. But, I mean, a lot of it is, exerting your sense of free will, right?
Yeah.
We all have choices, and the greatest resource and the most finite resource we do have is our time, and how we choose to use that time. I mean, it almost it also goes back to that kind of that stoic philosophy, right? You constantly remind yourself that death is the inevitability, so you put more emphasis and purpose in the time that you have, and utilizing that time is probably, I mean, and I definitely let me know if you disagree, but utilizing that time with a sense of purpose and direction is probably one thing that unifies all those different people that you interviewed.
Yeah, I would say so. And that's, again, the big thing on that is these people are taking the choice, making the choice to, I was doing this before I knew. I was buying books at 13 years old. I bought How to Win Friends and Influence People and
Yeah, yeah.
Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude and these different books. Going, my friends are out, doing whatever else, and I'm going, hey, I have to finish this book. For a 13-year-old, that's a not a real common characteristic. But you look back now on those same kids. I didn't enjoy reading these books and stuff, but I was making a decision, realizing, hey, I could go on. I could be. My life is going to go one way or another,
Right.
and looking back, I'm still friends with a lot of the old friends from high school and stuff on Facebook. So if you guys are seeing this, don't don't take this. I've got a lot of the members in our group or kids I went to school with or college or whatever. So
Hmm.
um, if you're not in a good situation right now, please don't take this as a jab. I'm not trying to talk behind your back, but we all know some of the folks that are sitting around, Facebook Live and on a sitting around drinking and crying about how their life sucks, and others are out. I got the one buddy's is a brain surgeon. They've got, you know, we all made decisions on what we're gonna do with our free time,
Yeah, yeah.
and you kind of see where the folks that have decided to binge Netflix and watch the Tiger King or whatever it is, probably I probably shouldn't have mentioned that by name. But the folks that are wasting their time doing stuff that is not productive
Yeah.
on a regular basis are see the benefits of that in their financial and
I mean, I don't know. I feel like
lifestyles, I guess.
yeah, I feel like a lot of folks, like, they just lose their passion for self improvement because, they get into this cycle of negative self talk where they convince themselves that, these situations are outside of their control. And yeah,
That's the problem. Yeah.
yeah, I can understand. There's a lot of uncertainty in the world today, and there's a lot of situations that are outside of our control. But the one thing that we can always do is choose how we respond to them. This COVID situation, it is a prime example of that. You were given, a couple months to, if if you were laid off, unfortunately, you were given weeks and or months to develop something, to spend this time in a productive manner. And if you didn't, you only have yourself to blame for that.
Yep, exactly. There's that's something too, folks. A lot of times have the negative self-talk, and a lot of times that's because it's not just, some people are just negative and they're always making the decision to feel sorry for themselves and decide they're never going to be good enough.
Hmm.
Um, but the stuff that you put in your mind daily, I've said this numerous times, but if you're posting on Facebook, why does my life suck? Oh, he's cheating again. Oh, he's, whatever the thing he's, people that are posting the same, the local drive-through hamburger stand screwed him on an order of fries or something.
Right,
There's
right.
people that are choosing to focus on that negative. Their life, you'll see the same. If you look through their feed, they've got the same negative, constant, ongoing junk over and over and over again. And folks are going, you got another guy that I was talking to he's had double amputee, and he's doing competitive, just like seated ski racing,
Yeah, yeah.
some kind of a, good man. If that guy's out, lost both his legs, and he's out skiing and having a blast, and man, check out this awesome thing I'm doing. And the other people are upset that they got shorted on their French fries. Um, a lot of that is the personal decisions, but also if you've got negative people, if you're hanging around with negative people, if you got if your wife or girlfriend or husband or boyfriend or whatever if your significant other or your friends that you're hanging around with are constantly negative, and even if it's making jokes about, oh, look, you're getting a little bit fat, aren't you? Oh, you're going to eat that too. Or, these
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
things. Pretty soon people start listening to that and going, yep, I am pretty worthless. Everybody thinks I'm worthless. And so they start internalizing that. And none of us can be around negative people all the time and still stay positive ourselves. So choosing to, even if you've got a wife or husband that doesn't treat you good and they're constantly putting you down and belittling you and stuff,
Hmm.
if you take that time to start throwing an audiobook or an ebook podcast on your radio when you're driving to work, when you're, just take some time every single day to bring that positivity in. And as long as that amount of influence is better or is more than the negativity in your life, you're still going to be in a better situation. But there's a chapter in that book, how to be successful, think like a leader. Um, I think people would like to, if they're in a situation where somebody's treating them bad,
Hmm.
it's called "You Teach People How to Treat You." But I think it'd be a great one that people could reference on kind of how to. This is a personal story of mine where I was being walked on and taken advantage of in a job as a young guy. I think he's like 18 years old, and how I let that keep happening, and finally making a decision to get out of that.
Hmm.
But yeah, you teach people how to treat you.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I feel like that's, I mean, that's hard for some folks, developing a sense of self worth, because a lot of folks, and then this is where I believe that negative self talk usually starts, is, the certain cognitive illusions that we have ourselves, these cognitive distortions, one of the most common ones that I see people falling into is that all or nothing thinking, right? It's either the world's falling apart or the world's going to be great. Well, no, there's a lot of gray area in there. And once you acknowledge that there is that gray area, that's when you can start seeing ways that you can improve your situation.
Yep. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So, when you were talking to these folks, I guess when you started noticing, their different perspectives and on, what success is, how did they define, when they reached that level of success? Was it usually like some sort of external validation that they finally reached out for, or was it like some sort of internal milestone they wanted to reach?
That kind of varies. That's a great question, and like I said, that was one of my favorite questions that I asked them.
Yeah.
But I would recommend, I'm not the book right now. If people click that link, I think you're dropping the link in the show notes.
Mhm.
It's currently $2.99. Regular price is $9.99. We got down to $2.99 on the pre-orders and stuff. But that's one of the questions. One of my favorite questions I asked them was not only what is your personal definition of success, but when did you consider yourself a success? there's a huge variation in what these guys are saying, what they actually determined, what they when they thought they were successful. Uh, Jeff Wobig, the Navy SEAL sniper, had he's Navy SEAL Team 5, Navy SEAL Team 7.
Yeah, yeah.
Crazy awesome. Um, he says, I believe that my personal definition of success ebbs and flows. I can't live on yesterday. Uh, I have to live on today and the future. There have been many times that I've been perceived as a success, but I was actually receding from a successful position. I would say that I've had the ability to be successful since I came into the world. I have dominated some portions of my life, and I've stooped in a couple other areas, taking 2 steps back and 1 step forward at certain times. And so he's just talking about how he's thinking of it from a very military goal-driven thing, and realizing, hey, his definition of success and his personal view of himself is always changing, but he's always saying, okay, where I'm at and what is my next step to continue to be successful. So, but yeah, he was one of my favorite definitions of looking at it going, this guy is the #1 SEAL team sniper in the world. And he's going, like, when did you consider yourself a success? I'm thinking, okay, man, it was when I made that 1.3 miles, some kind of crazy shot. It was when I was on the Discovery Channel on Rhino Wars. It was when, all these crazy things. He's like, he didn't ever say, I consider myself to be successful. He's like, well, I think it kind of ebbs and flows a little bit. I'm always going, you're the literally #1 guy in history at this. And it's like, yeah, I don't know when I really consider myself a success. I'm just trying to keep pushing through. So,
well, I mean,
it's kind of neat.
I mean, that's just like so particular to a military mindset, though, because the one thing that I've always noticed about talking, with guys who had experiences in the military is that they learn how to accept defeat as a temporary setback, and then
as a lesson,
and then they learn a lesson, and then they come back stronger. And it's that kind of perseverance that a lot of folks. I don't know, a lot of folks lack in modern society. And I mean, I don't know, I feel like it also has to do with, we live in an age where it's, everything's now. It's instant gratification, and people don't have that patience to take a step back and to acknowledge that they, made some sort of an error, and then, be constructive in how they can improve that.
Well, that's hard to do. It's hard to, really hard not to make an excuse for why you're not, why you're in a certain position or why you're not successful now.
So easy.
And it's even harder to listen to constructive criticism or advice from somebody who's already successful and go, yeah, you're right. It's easy to go, that guy's always been a jerk. Yeah. That's that takes some real work to listen to constructive criticism and make a positive change from it.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like a lot of folks nowadays, it's hard to accept criticism because they internalize it. Like you even if it's just the smallest thing. Like some people will internalize that to the point that they harbor on it, and that they consider it as part of themselves. And that just goes with that negative self-talk that you were talking about, is that people don't know when to differentiate criticism, right, from someone who's trying to put you down.
Yeah, I gotcha. Hey, quick question for you. I'm looking at your you got a really cool background. Are those headphones you're using wireless?
Actually, no, they are not. I just have my wire going all the way across the room.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, I have my my mixer set up behind everything, so everything's crapshoot away.
I got you. Nice.
So I guess I know we kind of talked about how you define success and how these different guys define success and when. So I guess kind of shifting towards turning a negative into a positive, right? What do you think people should be doing now? And we've already talked about using this time for self-improvement, but what do you think people could be doing right now to benefit themselves financially? I mean, stock market went down. It's a buyer's market. Financially, what sort of advice would you give people going forward in this pandemic?
I would say you hear from a lot of folks that are okay. So the easiest way just about the easiest way to make money online, or the easiest way to get rich online, is telling people how to get rich online. there's a,
Like every
there's
YouTube
a
commercial will have you believe.
yeah, there's all these. You see all the guys doing the courses and stuff. Um, I would. I'm getting more jaded as I bought a lot of these courses and I'm reviewing stuff that some of the stuff that I've got a good expertise in a lot of different fields
Mm-hmm.
from trying and failing, and I mean I've lost unbelievable amount of money on different companies, between the pharmaceutical company, the laser franchise, the clothing company, all the different things that I had there.
Yeah.
I, I would say don't take specific advice when anybody's telling you this is the way you're going to make money online. This is what you need to be doing right now. Get out there and research, find something you love doing. And there's a lot of different things, you can make money in different stocks and stuff right now. And find something you love doing and start researching the heck out of it and learn them. You could write a book, you can do whatever you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
but I won't give any specific idea on how to make money, because you can make a lot of money in a whole lot of different areas. Right now is the best time in history, with the most possible opportunities we've ever had to start something, do something, invent something. There's a lot of ways to make money. So get out, start studying. Again, that'll go back to start studying, start listening, my pharmaceutical company. I was an employee. He was actually doing web design and search engine optimization and social media marketing for a company that did the HCG weight loss shots,
Okay.
human chorionic gonadotropin.
Yeah.
Years ago, that was the popular. There's an HCG clinic on every corner, and I was working for a company that they started doing some really unethical things that I was going, this is not. I'm not gonna do this, and so lying to customers. They'd have customers that they had a shipment of this HCG that they had pre-mixed. You mix it, and it had to be, you mix it at the time the customer leaves. So they had mixed the entire batch of this stuff and then left it sitting on the counter, not refrigerated. So it was like injecting saline water.
Yeah.
And they were sending this out with people. They're paying $1,000+ a month for these weight loss injections. So people that are afraid of shots, they're sending them home with the insulin shots, and you do your own injections, knowing for a fact that this stuff was this worthless, dead stuff that they had damaged, having it sitting out on the counter overnight. And customers would come back saying, well, the last batch worked real good. I am not losing any weight. I've gained 3 pounds since I started this. Well, what are you eating? You must be cheating. You must be doing something wrong. And so that's actually how I started my pharmaceutical companies. Going, I didn't know any doctors. I didn't know any, besides the one that worked there.
Right.
I didn't have a pharmacist. I didn't have anybody that worked for me like that. But I started reaching out, and went, hey, I understand how this. I marketed the heck out of this, grew this business like crazy. When I left that company, they were out of business within the month, because I was helping them drive the traffic. And so I found an opportunity where, when I never wanted to be in the HCG weight loss business, but I started a clinic doing that, because it was going, hey, I've already got a ton of customers. I've got the website where we've got thousands of people a month hit the website. People are driving out from all over to go to this clinic. And so that was something where I found an opportunity in the market, and hey, I can start a clinic myself, pretty inexpensive. Have a doctor, sign off, put his I had to check in every week and make sure that everything was running well. But stuff like that, make an opportunity. There's always opportunities. So that'd be my opportunity.
Yeah, so I guess just to kind of shift, let me ask you about the pharmaceutical industry, because I mean, you just had discussed, one of the darker aspects of it, but I mean, the pharmaceutical industry gets so much flack these days, and usually because of actors such as that who gain the spotlight, doing those kind of shady things, while, there are other pharmaceutical companies that are on the cutting edge of research and making breakthroughs that are going to save lives for illnesses that, have no treatments. So I don't know, I guess I want to ask is, what is your thoughts on just kind of how the public views the pharmaceutical industry?
I think a lot of it, especially in the United States, I'm probably going to go against what you're expecting me to say here. Um, the Trying to decide if I should say this or not. The American Medical Association. Let me tell you my experience with brain cancer,
Mhm.
and I won't make a decision for anybody. I'll let you guys decide for yourself what you believe here. But in America, it is illegal to claim that you can cure cancer. There is a company or a doctor cannot claim that they can cure cancer. Um, that's why you see everything is for the treatment, the research and treatment of cancer. But there is no cure, and there will not be a cure in America as long as there's the ability to profit on the treatment.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I was diagnosed with brain cancer up in Denver, we had a few of the top oncologists in the country researching and looking at my it's called malignant glioma. I was also diagnosed as malignant glioblastoma. I was given 60 to 90 days to live, 0 chance of survival. They were going to cut out part of my brain there.
Oh, wow.
Said I would probably never speak or communicate again, but it could buy me a little bit of time. But the 5-year survival was going to be absolutely 0.0%. No, I was not going to make it.
Yeah, yeah.
So we went to Tijuana, Mexico. At the time, I still owned the cosmetic medical laser franchise. So we went to Tijuana, Mexico, even though I had a doctor working for me, because it was illegal to cure cancer in America. They would treat that. They'd have bled my insurance dry, give me the chemo and radiation and brain surgery, and I would have, if I was around today, even though they guaranteed I wouldn't be,
Mhm.
I would have I'd have been a vegetable. And so we went to Tijuana, Mexico, to a clinic where they had people had been going there from all over the world to this country. It was an American doctor that moved over to Tijuana because of the problems that he'd had with the American Medical Association.
Right.
And so went over there, successfully treated. It was back like 2010. It's 10 years later, and I'm still around. My memory is not great, but I'm not only communicating again, but I run a podcast. I'm writing books, and
Yeah, yeah.
so my personal outlook on the American, say, pharmaceutical and medical businesses are. I've had some great doctors on the show and stuff, but a lot of the doctors have their hands tied as far as what they can do as far as actual effective treatment.
Right.
So I would not go into medical. I would not go into a medical business again if I had time to go back, just because there's a lot that I learned that was very disheartening. So
I guess, I mean, I know you had mentioned like the profit margin. I mean, do you think that the future of the medical industry, I'm not completely sold on the idea that, a Medicare all solution could actually work in the United States. I kind of like the idea of, kind of moving towards maybe more what the French have, which is, having partnerships with private industries to be able to make things, to keep costs low and keep things consistent. But I mean, what do you think solutions would that be? I mean, I can't just be less bureaucracy.
I'm all for free market. So that I'm not I think should be regulations on, like the FDA type of stuff, making sure that food's safe and that it's well regulated and all that. But I would I personally say I'm against the limitation of the government where they're making rules that are cutting stuff down, like Pharma Bro with his jacking up the price on
Martin. How did you pronounce his name? Say Sketzel or whatever it was.
Yeah, his but yeah, that kind of stuff is not good. But I am all for free enterprise and allowing doctors. Nobody, if you talk about doctors getting where it's where they've got everything regulated, where doctors can't make a profit anymore. It's nobody's going to be a doctor if you go in and you're making, $30,000 a year salary with, if there's not the profit potential.
Right.
You'll have every bonehead French fry flipper that is going, well, yeah, I can make, or a doctor going, yeah, I was planning on spending the next 12 15, how many years becoming a doctor and being the best of my craft, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not going to make money. I'm going to go do something that actually makes some money. The sharp people are not going to be. Everybody's focusing on doing what's best for them.
Right.
So I am not. I'm against the government regulation and the government disallowing doctors to make a profit.
Well, I mean, I feel like a lot of I feel like a lot of the issues that we have in our medical system here. I mean, in the future, I just don't think there'll be an issue with advancements in technology. I mean, what are your thoughts on technologies like CRISPR and some of these stem cell research and how they're using that to map the different genome and I mean, custom program these cells with specific functions to be able to replace dying tissue and things like that.
You'd have to ask a whole lot sharper guy than I am.
I
I'm
mean,
not a. I won't speak on that because that's not something I've researched recently. So
yeah, I mean, I've looked into it here and there, and I mean, from what I've taken, and of course, they can't do a lot of these tests within the United States because of regulations. So a lot of this stuff is being done, South America, Europe, but they were able to break down, they take a DNA swab and they'd be able to break your DNA down into like a 21 digit number that they can program into these artificially created stem cells. And, they're doing fantastic work with severed nerves, different types of nerve damage, actually Alzheimer's as well, injecting them into the brain, that sort of treatments. But I feel like, and mind you, this could be, 80, 100 years down the line when this kind of technology is, affordable for the common man. But if you can just have something that is programmed specifically for you, then, you're not going to have a need for a lot of these pharmaceutical companies. You're not going to have a need for a lot of these hospitals and stuff because, everything will be so individualized.
if it works, it won't be allowed though.
Yeah.
I'll,
Oh, no, not for a
that's
long
just
time.
like that's just like brain tumor, the brain cancer, or I've been diabetic for 30 35 years now, and I do insulin injections.
Right.
If they had a pill if they had a pill that could cure diabetes, that one pill, you ask somebody how much do you think that pill would cost? They say, well, let's, I don't know, 30, 40. How much would it cost with the profit, with the markup? What if they charged $1,000? What if they charged $5,000 for that one pill? You go and you talk to the doctor, you take one pill, you're cured, you never take another insulin injection.
Yeah.
Now they're out the continuous glucose monitor stuff, the insulins, both insulins, the strips, all of the different stuff. At $5,000 a pill, that cure would be would kill the market. So cures don't happen because cures are not profitable. Just not trying to be sound like a conspiracy theorist, but just from a financial standpoint, you'd be an idiot to make a cure or to offer a cure where you could program disease or health defects or whatever out, because that kills the industry. So
Right.
I do have a guy that you could talk to at the end. My old business partner is he's doing the stem cell injections and still doing a lot of stuff on the pharmaceutical side.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get done, remind me, I'll get you his name and contact info. Maybe you can get on a call with him as well.
Oh, I'd love to talk with him.
Better to speak with on the pharmaceutical side, since I have been out of that for years.
Yeah. So we've been talking a lot about, how others view success. And then, I don't know, I'm just going to kind of flip the script on you. How do you define success? And at what age did you consider yourself successful?
My personal definition has evolved over time, but I would say, I've had times when, like I said, I've had times with $52,000 in 10 days, every 10 days on click revenue from Android apps and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Made some good money there. So I felt like it's been quite a few years ago, but I felt like that making $5,000 or $6,000 a day every day in profit. That's not total revenue. That's just profit that I could take home.
Right.
I felt pretty successful then as a young guy making a lot better money than a lot of the folks that I knew. And then as I've gone along with different businesses, there's been times I've done very well financially. And there's starting our retail cell phone stores. There was years when I slept in the back of one of the stores. My parents lived in the back of another store.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I probably felt more secure or more successful there because we were chasing a dream. And I mean, that living in the back of that store, we had 3 stores at the time. I was living in the back of the one with there's no shower, no stove, no oven, no, I cooked my food in a crock pot. With the brain cancer, couldn't use a microwave.
Mm-hmm.
So cooked my food in a crock pot or a toaster oven, and slept on a futon mattress in the back cleaning closet area of this cell phone store.
Oh, wow.
And making less money than any of my minimum wage employees work part-time, as we've got thousands of customers online and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably felt more successful at that time than I did when I was built an app and I wasn't actually helping anybody. It was just, making tens of thousands, 180 grand a month kind of a thing there, and for a young kid with no bills, well,
Mm-hmm.
that was a pretty nice little income. So I still felt more successful now when I'm chasing a dream and continually working towards growth.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'd say that was less about the finances and more about what I'm actually the pursuit of the goal.
Yeah, I feel like one's success is oftentimes defined by what they're willing to sacrifice for it. And I mean, a lot of success is, having the confidence to take that risk, whatever that risk may be, and be able to sacrifice for it. And a lot of folks, once they have a consistent level of comfortable living, they're not willing to sacrifice that to risk it for something greater.
Well, and that's not a bad thing. I talked to a lot of folks that are, they may be making 60 or 80 grand a year, and they're going, is that really worth if they've got the kid and the family and the wife at home, and they've got a, house where they're paying the bills, and they get to take the, once a year they go on vacation for a few days, and I personally am one that I would rather, do a few $100 million a year and be working harder and at a complete risk where, like I said, I've lost absolutely everything over and over again.
Yeah.
I went from making real good money to not enough money to pay the overdraft fees that I had to try to pay for medical supplies. And that's just a mindset. It's not, I would say it's not right or wrong to be on either side of that. If you're somebody that's, I mean, heck, if you're making 20, 25 grand a year, you're going, okay, bills are paid. I don't have a great life, but I feel secure. I work for a job that I love. I'm enjoying, a school teacher.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm making 25 grand a year, but I am changing lives. I'm making a difference. I'm going to talk with all these young kids, and I love what I'm doing. I just love this, love the impact that I'm having on society. Keep doing that. That doesn't mean you can't start another side hustle on the side, start writing a book, start doing something else on the side.
Right.
But I would say that, a school teacher I don't know what a school teacher makes, say it's 30, 35, whatever it is a year. If you love your life, keep doing that. If you want to make some more money, start a side hustle, but yeah, you can be making a couple $100 million a year and still not, if you don't love life. There's times when I would be, I've been happier with a lot less, and do what makes you happy. Don't base it on finances, I'd say.
Yeah, I think.
But get out there and here's the other side of that.
Yeah.
People say, well, money doesn't make you happy. It is so much easier to be happy when you don't have to worry about the financial struggles of, can I pay for food? Can I, are the kids' school supplies covered? Or I don't have kids, but if you're going, it's a whole lot easier to be happy without the stress and fighting with the spouse on not being able to pay the bills or the overdraft fees or the credit cards or whatever folks have there. So before you decide that money isn't going to make you happy, go make some money and experience it yourself and go, yeah, I hit seven figures year income, and I'm not that happy. I'm going to go back and do something I'm going to go back and relax. Or, yeah, I'm a whole lot happier being able to have these options and the ability to do other things. Keep doing it, but don't make the decision that money won't make you happy if you if you haven't ever experienced that.
Y- Yeah, I mean, I feel like what money really does is when you're financially stable, it just opens up a lot more opportunities for you because you have the excess time to dedicate to exploring these different passions and finding, experimenting with different facets of yourself and, what you, and different ways you can define that sense of purpose. Because, I mean, having money, definitely, won't bring that sense of meaning into your life. I mean, but
Yep.
I mean, honestly, I feel that no matter where you're at, poor or rich, everyone's always going to struggle day to day with bringing meaning and a sense of purpose into their life, and that struggle changes and it evolves as we grow older. We get involved in different as different aspects of our lives change. Different emphases on what's important to us changes, and as those things change, how we choose to find that purpose is a lot different. I mean, as a young guy, I was, a lot more oriented in finding purpose towards like, I was a promoter for a while, throwing different types of music events, festivals, right? So for me, the amount of events that I could create, that gave me a sense of purpose. But someone who is a little bit older has, an established family and kids, like their sense of purpose and what they find meaning in would be vastly different than where what I was at that particular place and time. So
Yeah.
as we change, that how we define that purpose changes with us.
Cool. I love that. We got a lot of the same viewpoints here.
Absolutely. So I guess just to kind of, I don't know, we're getting towards the end here. Try and keep these around like an hour and a half. So let me ask you then, if you had 5 habits that your average schmuck Joe like me can start doing right now to develop that leadership mindset, what would you have them do?
Okay, this is easy. This is probably my favorite
Your
question you've asked.
your bread and butter.
Yeah, absolutely. My business, the whole Success Motivation Inspiration group, we've got 240,000 some odd folks in that group. Uh, right now, my page is still real small. I've got like 17,000 followers on the page. Um, but that whole everything that I would teach somebody, if they're, I got folks that get on all the time that are sending. I had probably 3 or 4 messages in the middle of the night last night. People sending Instagram chats, um, asking how do I become successful? How do I become a speaker? How do I become a motivational speaker? How do I become whatever? My my first question to somebody is always, what are you reading? What are you studying? What are you listening to? What are you taking in on a daily basis? And why would I listen to you? I try not to be shutting somebody's dream down there,
Right.
but if somebody's wanting to become a motivational speaker, why would I pay to listen to you if you're not studying, not reading, not learning something that the average person is not reading or is not learning? Um, so that's my absolute most important piece of advice is to become more successful, start reading, start listening. Look up how many books Warren Buffett reads in a day. It is absolutely stupid. I think he's doing 500 pages a day.
Oh yeah.
He's like crazy speed reader. Um, Elon Musk, a lot of these crazy successful guys read voraciously, and that's the reason that they're so successful. And myself, after losing 100% all of my memory, I mean, literally, I woke up in the hospital. I was not able to remember. I woke up in the hospital. Michael Alexander and Carol Simple. Carol Simple is a 6 or 8 time Miss Fitness Olympia.
Hmm.
They're both standing in the hospital room, and I looked up and I remembered seeing these people in these bodybuilding magazines from when I was a high school kid, looking at them, and I woke up and I'm like, "Mom, hey, that's Carol Simple. That's Michael Alexander." I'm going, "How are these two famous bodybuilders? How are they in the hospital?" Like, "Curtis, hey, I just want to let you know everything's taken care of with the business. We got to, we're working on this. So hope you get better." And come to find out, I had started a company with them. I never even knew that I had met these guys, let alone that we'd been business partners and at the warehouse and forklifts and
Yeah.
drop
Yeah.
shipping supplements all over the country. Um, this girl, I remember seeing this beautiful girl on the treadmill. I'd see her like in the gym or whatever, and or there's just this hot chick that I didn't know that I had even had the what do you say didn't even know that I'd been brave enough to talk to her, let
Hmm.
alone that we'd been dating for 9 months before I woke up with without the ability to remember anything.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but going from that to now coming back again, people are asking how I've started all these successful companies and stuff again. All of that is attributed to reading, to listening, listen to podcasts, listen to audiobooks. 100% of that comes from study. So that I won't give you 5 pieces of advice. I'll give you one. That's start intentionally taking in positive and the correct information on a daily basis. That's my only piece of advice.
And I feel like that a lot of that as well is also reprogramming your social media, because I mean the one thing that YouTube, Facebook, Twitter especially, the one thing that they all do is their algorithms are based on outrage, because the more you are outraged over something, the more you or the more that the more likely
Well,
you
they're
are
based on
to,
interaction,
yeah, the more likely
positive
you
or
are
negative. Yeah.
to smash that like button, to write a mean comment, whatever the case may be. And
Yep.
then it just starts adding all that negativity over and over and over. And I mean, it's amazing. Like if you just start a completely new Facebook account, how different your feed is. And I mean, sometimes you just got to break free of that matrix and create something new for yourself that's based on a more positive message, more positive information. Whether you're gonna go and set that account up to look at nothing but cat videos or listen to podcasts, or subscribe to the successful motivational blog, which you should be doing if you are watching this right now. But being able to identify what that negative input is, and uh, being able to understand
Just
that.
avoid it.
Yeah,
That's the biggest thing, is avoiding that interaction.
yeah.
The social media algorithms. If any of us claim to know all the algorithms, I'll tell
Never.
you, Mark Zuckerberg probably doesn't know all the algorithms that are built into Facebook right now,
Oh, not even
because he's
close.
got a ton of people that are working for him and constantly modifying and updating and trying to make those work. So if you've got somebody that tells you that they know the secret algorithms, or they've got some kind of a secret hack to make it work, um, they're probably lying to you. But all social all websites, anything with an algorithm attached to feeding you the best information, is designed to keep you on the page as long as possible,
Hmm.
to keep the more viewer eyes are on a certain ad at any time, the more ad revenue you can drive. It's a business of keeping us attracted to what we're interested in. And so, like you said, if you hate one political party and you're always on there commenting, you guys are a bunch of idiots, or you're doing the mad face, or I can't believe, and always commenting, if you don't like that party and you're always attacking that party, guess what you're going to see more? You're going to see more news feed that gets you to interact with that same type of information. So when you see something that whether it's political or a religious thing, or it's something that you're against,
Hmm.
if you'll ignore it, get away from it. If you don't want your news feed to be filled with that type of information, ignore it. Go on, search something positive and like that page. Go through and read, comment on a couple of those things. You'll reprogram that algorithm. And that's not some kind of a nerdy, I'm not giving you some kind of an insider secret. It's just the more you interact with a certain topic or a certain whatever on Facebook or whatever social media, that's what you're going to see the most of. So I see people canceling. I've had friends over the years that, I got to take a break. I'm deleting my Facebook account. And they'll come back a few minutes later. They're on for a few months, and then pretty soon, all this negativity and all these people fighting, and there's so much drama on Facebook. I'm leaving Facebook again. They delete their account, start a new account months later,
Hmm.
and they're in that same cycle. Always, they build up a bunch of negativity, then they delete the account, then they build up a bunch of. And you got other folks. My news feed is full of inspirational, positive, motivational stuff. Leaders, other entrepreneurs, and authors, and successful folks. And that's because that's what I choose to interact with. And when I see something where I'm thinking, this guy is an idiot, and I've got the urge to comment and tell somebody off, I'm going to skip over that one. I won't see that again, or hide that post or whatever.
Yeah.
And you can even that's being decisional, or I mean being having a set idea of what you want to see and what you want to allow in your life. And just like if you were on this is kind of off the topic, but people watching rated R movies or pornography or, whatever kind of a different stuff. If you would not allow, if you're watching a movie and some guy is beating up a girl, they're on drugs and they're, whatever, and the guy is hitting the girl and whatever, and you're sitting there watching that on TV, you're watching on your Netflix thing or whatever, and you're watching this thing you would never allow to happen if you're out on the street, you go knock that guy's teeth out.
Oh yeah.
But you sit there in your house and you're allowing that in your living room, watching that on TV, and you're programming that in your mind and your kid's mind. And so for me, I choose not to even if I'm sitting there watching a Netflix as I'm working, if something comes on, if there's profanity, if there's sexual stuff, if there's different things that I would not allow in person. If it's a fight, I'll go to a UFC fight or MMA fight or whatever. And I've sponsored those events, so the fighting stuff, I'll watch that because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I choose not to allow. If I'm not going to watch a movie where some lady's getting raped, because I wouldn't allow that to happen if I was standing there in real life. Mm-hmm. So I take that influence out of my life, and I don't have to. I don't focus on that, and that kind of stuff doesn't. I'm not. Those situations are not attracted to me. They call like the universe or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean that also. Is a sense of empowering as well. You know what I mean? Because you're actively forcing out these negative influences, and that's only reinforcing your strive.
Yep. Absolutely.
So we are getting to the end there. So, anyone who is listening to this via the podcast, if you are interested in connecting with Curtis, definitely check out his book. It's going to be available June 6th on Amazon. And are you going to be selling that through any other distributions, or is that mostly going to be an online featurette?
Yeah, my first 3 books are available on all major platforms: Apple and Apple Books and Google and Barnes and Noble and all the different things. So it'll be available on them all. But it's actually available right now at 70% discount. So it's at $2.99 if you order. If they click the link in your show notes that I sent you.
Yeah. No, that'll be up until June 6th. That's only for the pre-orders, correct?
Just like any of the books, I'll track that. As sales are continuing to increase, the price will go up. The regular price is set at $9.99. So, but I track all that. I've got software too to track the prices and adjust the price based on purchases. So, if it ever drops off and people think the book sucks, then it'll go back down to $2.99. Hopefully not.
Well, folks, if you are, if it is before June 6th and you are interested in getting that 70% off, definitely just go to Amazon, click the link in the show notes, and place a purchase. But, even if you don't have some extra scratch to throw down on the book, then honestly, I would definitely recommend logging onto your Facebook account and typing in success, motivation, and inspiration, because that Facebook group, I was giving you props earlier on just what a fantastic community you have created there, because it is very active. Everyone is so supporting. Everyone offers positive criticisms. Everyone wants to see everybody else succeed. And I don't know, the whole vibe of that group is just uplifting. And anyone who kind of needs that kind of information input, that you need to limit these negative influences, going there is the best place to start, because it's going to give you a breath of fresh air, some positivity in your life, really.
Okay, I appreciate that, man. I was just looking here too. That little group has gained 249 members since you started the interview with me today. So,
oh wow!
On average, we're doing about 2,000 new members a day. But we've had 249 people have joined or have been approved. There's more than that have been denied, but so right now we're at 239,578 members. But like I said, a couple thousand a day, so that number will change pretty quick. But
yeah. I mean,
appreciate it. And the easiest way to contact me, if anybody's wanting to, M. Curtis McCoy, Curtis with a C. M. Curtis McCoy. I'm on all social media networks, or social networks, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the LinkedIn, different stuff. So if you guys want to reach out and contact me, and also I'd love to have any of you guys on a interview where this was kind of a different when you reached out actually interviewing me. Typically, I'm interviewing other folks on the show. So if somebody'd like to be a guest and talk with me, my interviews are typically maybe 15 minutes, max about 30 minutes. A little bit shorter show format there, but
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I sure appreciate you having me on.
Oh, it was fantastic talking with you, and it was. I mean, I personally find your story extremely inspirational. The way you are able to turn adversity and hardship into success and positivity is definitely. I mean, it's definitely something that people need in their lives, and people need that. People need that reminder that, no matter what you're struggling with, folks, whether it is finances, personal issues, health issues, you have the ability to overcome it. You have the ability to take that adversity and face it with a sense of courage so that it propels you towards self-growth. And, speaking with you, Curtis, if I can, condense down all that we've talked about, really it is taking charge of the influences in your life, taking charge of the time that you have to accomplish whatever goals or to establish whatever passions that you want to pursue, and then using that as a way to find a sense of purpose and meaning. And I think that overall, no matter whether you're rich, poor, wherever you are on the socioeconomic status, that sense of fulfillment and purpose in life is what makes you successful.
Man, I love that, Jimmy. And hey, this is a little bit of a side note again, but you're a very good speaker, and you've got, again, sounds like good memory and good ability to communicate and stay active with your audience, or maybe in your audience today, as far as the conversation here. But I don't know if you've spoke professionally at all, or not yet, but you probably do real good with having these type of interviews in front of a live audience.
I have actually given lectures before on a variety of different topics. I used to do a lot of lectures primarily on philosophy, and kind of, using different philosophies as a way to, take charge of your life. I primarily focus on like Pythagoreanism, Stoicism, a lot of the ancient Greek philosophies. Really, I like to talk about the ideas and the things that when I was struggling, I found the most solace and motivation in.
I gotcha. Man, again, I appreciate you having me on the show, and just thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing some time with me. And remember, folks, his book is available June 6th on Amazon, and if you can't afford it, definitely join the group. And you can be the 250th person to join the group since we've started this interview. And remember, folks, no matter what, be willing to sacrifice for your success. Good night, folks.
Actually, they already missed the 250 mark.
Oh, they already missed the 250 mark.
All right, man. Hey, thanks again. I'll talk again soon here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Good night, folks. Bye.